Shalom, my friends, this is Max Joseph, and I'm here because it is the first day of June, which means it is time for the predictions. To give a quick rundown, the predictions will be a video that will be released on the first of every month and will feature my predictions for the upcoming Academy Awards. Each category will feature the maximum number of nominees possible, with an additional few that are the next in line. And then because it's still relatively early in the year, there's no need to do the big snub that should make it, so instead I'll add an additional few nominees that'll be titled Followed By. And I won't always get into detail about every single pick because then the video would be 9 hours long, so I'll always talk about my pick to win and then some other highlights on the list. And I sound like a broken record, but because we have to, let's address that same elephant in the room that we addressed the last couple of months. We don't know what is going to happen this award season. We know the Oscars made the streaming adjustment and they're also gonna stick with them being on schedule. But that's not a for sure thing. So many films have pushed their releases to later this year, next year, some postponed indefinitely, some going straight to streaming. And there are also some we just don't know when they are coming out. Like all of a sudden, Greyhound is going to be on Apple Plus, but it doesn't have a release date. So I'm not gonna put it in these predictions until we find out what the deal is. But if the Oscars are still happening, so are these predictions. And note, as always, there are still a handful of films where we don't know who will be lead versus supporting, original or adapted. Only time will tell. But before I go into my predictions, please make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel and ding that little bell to get notified whenever I post new videos. But more important than that, please make sure that you're registered to vote and cast your ballot when the time comes. If you need any information, please go to www.vote.org. And so, here are my predictions for the 2021 Oscars, June edition. Best Picture. Before I even talk about the winner, I'm sure y'all see it. Tenet has officially cracked this top 10. And I'm thrilled about it. That trailer did it for me. If this is the movie that opens theaters back up and possibly saves them, that is gonna be frickin' huge, and it will not go unnoticed. Now, even though I love the first trailer for Five Bloods, which comes out in less than 2 weeks, by the way, I believe that nostalgia is gonna be big this year, and I think Mank is gonna give everyone the best of both worlds. It's gonna be something original, while also something old, for lack of a better word. We're seeing a new film about what is argued to be the greatest film of all time, and Mank has an all-star team behind it. I went back and just really dug into every single member of this team outside of the top billing. We have the extraordinary cast led by Oscar winner Gary Oldman. We have Lily Collins, Amanda Seyfried, Tom Burke, many more. Then you have David Fincher directing, Jack Fincher, rest in peace, on the script, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross composing. And after my watch party of The Social Network a few nights ago, I forgot how epic that score is, for which both Reznor and Ross won a well-deserved Oscar. Then photographer Eric Messerschmidt, who to my knowledge, this is his first big film. So Fincher must have really seen something in him, and I'm feeling good about it. He also has Oscar winner Donald Graham Burt on production design, and I could go on and on, but you get my point. This has all the pieces in the Oscar puzzle to win Best Picture. Not that others don't, but all of these pieces plus nostalgia. As of today, I'm going with Mank, which will also give Netflix its first Best Picture win. Then I also moved Soul up one because I think it'll be the animated feel-good movie of the season, and people are just gonna flock to it and just want to see something wonderful. And hopefully it does well at the box office. And if it really is one of Pixar's best films to date, I believe it'll make this lineup and become only the 4th animated film in history to be nominated for Best Picture. By the way, if it does get nominated, 3 of the 4 animated films will have been Pixar. Up and Toy Story 3 were nominated. The other one, which was first, was Beauty and the Beast. There's a few other switches, but nothing that is screaming to break my top 3. But listen, the season is so young and is really just getting started. And I say that because a lot is coming out soon, and we also might find out that one of our frontrunners isn't even gonna come out this year. Who knows? It's such a crazy and exciting year, and it is just getting started. Best Director. Am I the only one who finds it interesting that this year will feature the 2 leading players of The Social Network, directed by Fincher and was written by Sorkin? And look who's in this lineup. I think that's just awesome. Anyway, I'm gonna give it to Fincher, though this month I'm really not as confident about it. I really love that trailer for Five Bloods, and I know we want Spike to get that directing Oscar. But we also want Fincher. All 5 of these nominees don't have an Oscar for direction yet, and all are kind of neck and neck. I think this could be a tight race, unless of course one film just goes on a rampage, which is totally possible. Now, there was one person who jumped up a lot here, and that was Christopher Nolan. I mean, again, I can't stress it enough. The man is trying to reopen movie theaters and keep that industry alive, and he might do it. Also, he's a brilliant director. And another thing that's crazy to me is that he only has one nomination for directing, Dunkirk. The others are for picture and screenplay. I constantly have to remind myself that the gentleman who directed Inception, Interstellar, Memento, The Dark Knight trilogy, The Prestige, one nomination for direction. I mean, that just blows my mind. And I think that fifth slot will be between Nolan and Villeneuve. Two big blockbusters, two brilliant minds, two directors fighting for their second nomination in this category, and first win in it as well. But I'm expecting big things for Dune, so I'm gonna give it to Villeneuve for now. Then I'm also going back and forth between Chloe Zhao, but I think her paired with Frances McDormand and David Strathairn is gonna be cinematic magic. No matter what, if it is one of these five, we're looking at someone's first Oscar win for direction, and that is really awesome. Actress in a leading role. Well, shalom to Ana de Armas, who I've had as the winner here since the beginning, but it looks like Blonde won't be coming out until 2021, and so we have a huge change. With de Armas no longer in the running, it just moved Michelle Pfeiffer up to #1, which means, well, it means many things, but first and most important, it means that I now have her winning her first Oscar. And the applause in that room, if that happens, sweet baby Moses, it'll be beautiful. I mean, she's been nominated 3 times, and her last appearance was in '93, when she was nominated for Love Field. So if Pfeiffer is as good as I'm hoping, this is going to be a really fun campaign to follow. The second thing it means is that there is a new nominee in this 5, and that is Academy Award winner Marion Cotillard. And I love that. Now, my only reservation with this is that we'd have 2 musical nominees in this category. And if that happens, I believe that this will be the first time in a long time that 2 actors in a musical were nominated for actress in a leading role in the same year. The last time this happened was in 1964 when Julie Andrews won for her practically perfect performance in Mary Poppins against Debbie Reynolds, rest in peace, from the unsinkable Molly Brown. So the musical person in me, knowing that there is a world where 2 actors in the musical category, well, that just makes me giddy. This also may be a moot point because I have heard rumors that Annette is gonna premiere in 21, but because there's no official announcement yet, I'm holding off. Then the third and final thing is that we now have a frontrunner for the 2022 Oscars for actress in a leading role. I think I get way too excited for things that don't take place for over a year. I don't care. But someone I am really thinking about moving up is Jennifer Hudson. I mean, she's playing Aretha Franklin and was chosen by Aretha Franklin herself. I can totally see a path for J-Hud to come out of this and just steamroll past everyone. And as we know, the Academy love a good biopic. And if Marion Cotillard's Annette is postponed, that just made a very good track for J-Hud to return to the Oscar stage. Actor in a leading role. So I did have Chadwick Boseman on here for Five Bloods, but I think he's gonna be supporting, so that's why he's moved. And who's replacing him? One of the greats. Sir Anthony Hopkins. And I'm clearly not saying he's gonna win, but of basically the one festival that actually happened this year, Sundance, he received incredible praise. So I guess it feels safe to place him in my 5. Fun fact, this would also be his first time being nominated 2 years in a row. He did every other year in the 90s, starting in 92 when he won for Silence of the Lambs. Then he was nominated in 94, 96, 98. And then of course his most recent nomination was The Two Popes last year. And all that being said, I'm gonna stick with Bill Murray winning his first Oscar, but I'm starting to get the feeling that Oldman may win his second one instead. And that is honestly the biggest reason why I don't have him winning. If Oldman hadn't won a few years ago, it would be his without hesitation. But I think the voters are gonna consider the greatness of Bill Murray, and this role really sounds incredible. Him and Coppola together is magic, and I still believe that for now, he will win his first Oscar, but Oldman is very much a front runner. I mean, it's an incredible role. Circling back to Chadwick Boseman in the Five Bloods for a hot second, I think there will be someone nominated in one of these 2 categories. I'm just not sure exactly who it'll be or where they'll be, but as of now, I don't see a world where someone from that cast isn't nominated in lead or supporting actor. So I'm gonna throw Delroy Lindo in here because I think he had the most meat in the trailer. And it's basically the same with the Trial of the Chicago 7. Someone will be nominated in lead or supporting, and I'm giving it to Eddie Redmayne for now. But again, he could go supporting. We'll find out soon enough. Then Adam Driver, I've said it before, I'll say it again, he is going to be the next Meryl Streep in the sense where you say, well, Driver, he's gonna get nominated. And that's not a dig, because A, he's one of my favorite actors. B, he's one of the most talented actors, and C, he'll pretty much deserve every nomination he ever gets. And this will give him his 3rd nomination in a row. There have only been 21 instances where an actor had been nominated for 3 or more years in a row. Can Driver make it 22? Well, if Annette comes out this year, I think he will. Actress in a supporting role. 2 of the greatest actors on the planet may be going head-to-head this season, and I may lose my mind. We have Ronan, one of the greatest actors of her generation, and then we have Glenn fricking Close. I did not think these words would come out of my mouth hole, but I'm delighted that they did. The 3, 4, and 5 slot are wide open. It is absolutely up for grabs, and unfortunately there isn't a female-heavy ensemble like there is with Five Bloods and Trial of Chicago 7, where you kind of just know that someone is bound to get nominated. Like when we saw The Favorite, we all knew that someone would get nominated, and thankfully, all 3 women were nominated. And Olivia Colman actually won the frickin' Oscar over Glenn Close. And what's interesting is that if Close had won that Oscar, I don't think this would be as much of a competition. Like, it would still be competitive, but not neck and neck as I'm thinking it'll be. But the fact is, Close doesn't have an Oscar. And if she becomes even kind of a thing, it shall be over. But for now, sticking with Ronan because I think the role sounds a bit juicier and something the Academy will be more interested in awarding. Actor in a supporting role. Another big change here, I had Tom Burke winning since the beginning, but I think that we may see Netflix focus their campaign from Mank on Oldman and Seyfried, and then they'll also be able to focus on someone from Five Bloods, possibly Delroy Lindo and Jonathan Majors. But I think the person they're going to be campaigning for here is Chadwick Boseman. He's been on the rise since the worldwide phenomenon that was Black Panther. And now he's teaming up with the Academy Award winner Spike Lee. I don't think I'll ever get tired of saying that. And that is just a match made in heaven. I don't think Boseman is a done deal. Burke is totally still there, as his film is the leading player for Pick. Strathairn is there. I mean, he's playing off of Frances McDormand, so that helps. Then Benicio del Toro. He won this award almost 20 years ago. And then Jesse Plemons is under the direction of Oscar winner Charlie Kaufman and will be playing off of Toni Collette, Jesse Buckley, and David Thewlis. This one is wide open, and I'm all about it. Original screenplay. So like I said just a few moments ago, I rewatched The Social Network, and sometimes I forget how brilliant Aaron Sorkin is. This will obviously speak to both David Fincher and Aaron Sorkin, but even Tarantino just said that The Social Network is hands down the best film of the 2010s. And in this category, Sorkin is going up against the late Jack Fincher, and I think that is really incredible. And I don't think it'll happen for this reason, but it would be a really beautiful moment for David Fincher to accept the award on behalf of his father. I just think that would be awesome. But listen, as of now, I don't see a film sweeping these above the line categories. I just don't think it's going to happen that way. I think there's the possibility of it, of course. It might be Mank, Five Bloods, Chicago 7. I don't know. The point being is that there really isn't a clear winner here. So while I think Mank is the frontrunner for Pick and Director, I'm not quite convinced it'll get Screenplay. Because you have Spike, who just won for BlacKkKlansman, you have Sofia Coppola for On the Rocks, who won this award for Lost in Translation back in 2004, and then you have Pete Docter, who is arguably the greatest Pixar writer and director, who has been nominated for his writing in Pixar films 4 times, and would probably love to get that trophy. And if you go to my 6th slot, Wes Anderson, he still doesn't have an Oscar. There is so much talent and goodness in this lineup, and anyone can win this. I think Screenplay could actually be a very exciting and competitive category this year. Unless, again, someone just sweeps it, which is totally possible. Adapted Screenplay. So again, even though Greyhound is coming to Apple Plus, it still doesn't have a release date, so I'm not going to put it in this lineup where it probably would be. Similar to original, I'm playing this one by who is higher up on picture, at least as far as the winner is concerned. So I'm going to go with Chloe Zhao's Nomadland. But I'm really starting to get the feeling that Dune could be the big surprise on the night, pull the Mad Max, but not just win the tech categories, but it could maybe win Screenplay. And if it wins Screenplay, can it win Director? And if it wins Director, could it win Picture? I don't know. I'm just saying. But I think that the Academy will probably lean towards the Frances McDormand-led drama. I'm also starting to get into Hillbilly Elegy a little bit more. Directed by Ron Howard, screenplay by Vanessa Taylor, who was nominated with Guillermo del Toro for The Shape of Water. I think that if Amy Adams and Glenn Close chew the heck out of their text, I could see a big campaign for her as well, and I'd be super into that. Animated feature. At this point, assuming nothing else gets delayed, I think it's between Pixar's Soul and Studio Ghibli's How Do You Live? But I just don't think it'll be a competition, assuming that Soul is as good as the world is hoping and expecting it to be. It should win this relatively easily. The only way I see it losing is if How Do You Live is on par with Spirited Away. Unless that happens, I think this should be as easy to call as last year's International Feature Film winner. After that, I think this race is gonna just be who gets those other 3 slots, assuming How Do You Live comes out this year. If it doesn't, it'll be who gets those 4 slots. But I'm gonna stick with 3, and I'm putting in the animated musical that Netflix is releasing, directed by Glenn Keane, who won an animated short Oscar with Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Then another Pixar film because Pixar. Then my bold choice, which I really am so fascinated by, is Where is Anne Frank, which is directed by Ari Folman, director of The Congress. And the animation in that film was insane. So I can't wait to see what happens here. I'm not really expecting this category to be a close race because this feels like it's gonna be Pixar's to lose. And that stat that I'll continue to use when Pixar is nominated for an original movie, aka not a sequel, it has only lost twice. It's 8 out of 10 for original films. Were records meant to be broken? Yeah, of course. But I don't think it's gonna happen this time. Cinematography. First, Dune could really do some damage here. If it wins cinematography, I think it's gonna win nearly every other category below the line. No, they don't relate to each other, like if you win cinematography, you don't always win costume design and film editing. But I think this is where its dominance will begin. Second, if Greg Fraser does win his Oscar, it will be his first, which means that Denis Villeneuve will have given both Greg Fraser and Roger Deakins their first Oscars. So I think that moving forward, every cinematographer on the planet will want to work with Villeneuve. And it makes sense because his films are epic and some of the most gorgeous looking on the planet. Third, I don't think it's Fraser's all the way quite yet. That trailer that we got for Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch looks special. And thanks to Robert D. Yeoman's photography, who is also working on his first win. And with that later release date, I do think it stands a better chance than it would have if it had been released earlier. Fourth, if you don't have Five Bloods in for cinematography after that trailer, I have some questions for you. Fifth, Last Night in Soho was in this lineup, but it has been postponed to April 2021, so it is obviously no longer eligible, but hey, another 2022 frontrunner. Production design. Nostalgia will be the key word in this category. Similar to last year's winner, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where Barbara Ling recreated old Hollywood, I think Donald Graham is gonna do a similar thing for Mank. We're gonna see pieces from Citizen Kane, and it will be like visiting an old friend. Citizen Kane only won 1 Oscar. And it was for screenplay. That's it. So I think that people will want to reward the film that, looking back on it now, should have received more Oscars. Think about your all-time favorite movie. And now think about it if they were to write a movie about the creation of said movie. You'd lose your mind. So if they made a movie about the development of Shawshank Redemption, I would be eager to cast my vote for it. Assuming it's deserving, of course. But something I love about a Wes Anderson film is instant identity. When you watch a Wes Anderson film, within the first 30 seconds, you know you're watching Wes Anderson. And a lot of that is thanks to the production design. And he's teamed up with Adam Stackhausen again, who won this award for Grand Budapest Hotel, so do not be surprised if French Dispatch takes this one. Costume design. The more stills we get, the more confident I am that Dune will win this one. It just looks glorious and epic. And if we look at the last decade of costume design wins, it's kind of been all over the place. The first few years are all kind of period-ish. We had Alice in Wonderland, The Artist, Anna Karenina, The Great Gatsby, and Grand Budapest Hotel. Then we switch gears a little bit and get Mad Max Fury Road, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, switch gears, Phantom Thread, switch gears, Black Panther, switch gears, Little Women. There's a lot of switching gears here, but the point is that all 5 of these predicted nominees, especially the top 3, fit into a handful of the films. So I think they may switch gears yet again and go for something like Dune. So I'm giving Jacqueline West and Bob Morgan their first Oscars. But I'm not counting out someone who won this award 4 times before, Melina Cananero, who recently won for Grand Budapest Hotel, another Wes Anderson film. I love that this award is constantly shaking things up and not giving it to the same type of film every year. I hope that that continues and spreads to some other awards. This one should be exciting. Film editing. The oh so important editing nomination. Yes, the world is different now, but numbers are important, and this one is no different. Since this category was added to the Oscars in 1934, less than 15 times has a film won Best Picture without at least a film editing nomination. Does that mean you should put your top 5 Best Picture nominees in this category? Not necessarily. I only have my top 2 in here. All 5 happen to be in my 10 for pick, but that isn't always true, nor on purpose. But what this does mean is that you should probably have at least a couple of your best pick options in here. Last month I didn't have Tenet in my Best Picture 10, and look now, it's in the running. Things change, my friends. And I was really hoping for the wild card of Last Night in Soho, but Alas. Earwax. Also, don't be too surprised to see West Side sneak in here next month. I think we could see a musical get in. Makeup and hairstyling. The only big change here is that blonde is now out of the running, and there's a brand new addition, which is Everybody's Talking About Jamie. And if you haven't seen it yet, this is Richard E. Grant as a drag queen, and I am beyond thrilled about it. I think that this has the chance to get into the 5. And if the film does well, I think I see a world where, I can't believe I'm saying this, they don't just give the makeup and hairstyling award to the best prosthetics. No disrespect, I think prosthetic work is unreal. But because I don't think that's gonna happen as of now, I'm gonna stick with Mank because I think that it'll be easy to award another Gary Oldman prosthetics film. I'd love to see something else happen that's a little bit different, but prosthetics plus it's the best picture frontrunner, it just feels like it's the winner right now. Sound. Best sound. I'm obsessed with this category. For nearly 20 years, we've had this as 2 separate categories that were titled sound editing and sound mixing. But we're now at best sound, just sound. So it's really hard to go off of history and the numbers. But because there's a Nolan film in here, it's my predicted winner. Since my first predictions of this season, when we had sound editing and mixing, I've had Tenet winning both anyway, so now that they're just one, it feels pretty easy to just give him the win. His films have been nominated 8 times in these categories, and he is sticking with family and using his 4-time Oscar winner, Richard King, as his supervisor, and 3 of those wins were with Nolan. It's gonna be pretty hard to beat it, unless Dune has something to say about it, which it might. Visual effects. I think this race was originally going to be between Dune and Eternals, but Eternals was postponed, so now it becomes a battle between the 2 big blockbusters, yet again, Dune and Tenet. And I was feeling super confident on Dune, but I just did a rewatch of Inception and then rewatched that trailer for Tenet almost right after. And I think that this may not be the easy win that I thought it was going to be. I think that there may end up being a bunch of these tech awards that go down between Dune and Tenet, especially because there are only 2 in the lineup that are best picture options. I think it feels like this won't really change at all. But I'm going to stick with Dune for now. That could change any day. Original score. It's another battle between Dune versus Tenet. And another win for Dune, and this will be the 2nd win for Hans Zimmer. And it really is crazy that Hans Zimmer is with Denis Villeneuve instead of Nolan because that's what it normally is. But Nolan has his own Oscar winner, Ludwig Göransson, who won for Black Panther. And the thing I keep reminding myself of is that Zimmer wanted to work on Dune because it was a passion project. I think something is going to be different about this one. I think this could possibly be Zimmer's best work of his career. When passion is involved, something different happens. And if it is, I don't think it'll matter how good Ludwig Göransson's score is, Zimmer will win. Original song. I just think at this point you have to keep No Time to Die's Billie Eilish until we hear anything else. When In the Heights was an option, great. But now that it's not, it just has to be the default winner. Its biggest competition is Annette, and I do think it'll give Eilish a run for her money because it's a film told in songs, and its driver and Cotillard, it's gonna be beautiful, epic, powerful, I'm ready. I need it in front of my eyeballs ASAP, but films keep postponing, and if Annette does, and the upcoming Bond film doesn't, it'll just get easier and easier for Eilish to take home this award. It's hers to lose at this point. Those are my predictions for the 93rd Academy Awards June edition. Let me know what you have predicted in the comments. Agree, disagree? Let me know. And so my friends, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you like this video, give me your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to this channel, as well as follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at mjoseph492. Like my page on Facebook, which is facebook.com/MaxJosephFilmPerson. Join the Amino live chat, which is open 24/7, 365. And if you really love me, please consider being a member of the channel, where you can get member-only content, guest interviews, giveaways, and lots more. You can even give me a film to review, a 10th of the month top 10 category, a ranking, or a song to sing. And that video will be dedicated to you. Shalom, my friends.